Hello and welcome to the Faith Building Podcast, episode 79, with your lovely and amazing host, Vladi. Hello, lovely people. Today's topic we all know because we all do it all day long. We think. And we want to kick it off with one sentence. And the sentence is: everything you call reality is just in your head. It's just in your mind. Because think about it. Of course, something happens on the outside, something might trigger you, but your reaction is based on you. And Vladi and I were talking about the heat wave in Europe currently, at least in the UK, and in Germany it was hot, and some of us sleep in the basement, but if the kids move to the basement, there's no space, so we stay in our bedrooms and stuff like that, so it's quite warm. Isn't it true that the heat is real, but how you perceive the heat is totally up to you? And we need to be very careful, because every time we think about something, or we actually only be without consciously thinking about it, what we are just unhappy, we are just grumpy, we are just warm or hot or whatever it is, we send out a frequency. We vibrate all the time. And it's not like with radio frequencies that go in a straight line and then you need a satellite to bounce it off to go over mountains or some things on the outside that might be in the way. Our frequency, if we vibrate, are going through the whole universe in every direction in an instant. And therefore, law of attraction, we receive back what we are sending out. And if people say, and I talked to my friend Bene the other day, and he said, so many people talk to me and he's very intuitive. Within 30 seconds, people pour out their heart and they talk about everything with him or whatever concerns themselves, like more the hidden stuff. Within the first minute, he knows basically everything. And he says they are all saying the same thing. The issue is the outside. It's the relationship, it's the job, it's the government, it's the heat, it's the whatever on the outside. They blame the outside. And therefore they are vibrating constantly. The vibration of it's not me, I cannot change anything, if there would be no heat, if there would be no relationship, if there would be a nicer boss, if there would be more jobs, if there would be better politicians, whatever you want to call it. You're vibrating lack. And of course, you can only attract lack back in your life. And this is, of course, then the vicious circle. You don't get out anymore. But you can choose it, because the whole truth, the you call truth, is just in your mind and in your head. And that's what we want to talk about today. Vladi, what are your thoughts out of your mind, out of your head?
I have to start with the sentence all the masters ever agreed on was we become what we think about. But I love what Neville Goddard says, most of the time, or dominant part of the time, because nobody is 100% positive or 100% negative. Like even the feng shui sign, you've got the black and white, you can see that there is a little dot, black dot in a white part and a white dot in the dark part, because you cannot just have a consumption of 100%. So if somebody says, oh, I'm so aligned, I'm 100% aligned, nobody is 100% aligned. But if you can be dominantly really thinking positive and good thoughts, then that is the vibration and you will attract the great things. Now, I know that we often experience something and you're thinking like, but I've been doing this stuff, and it happens to us as well. Like we've been in these materials, we're doing the work, we're disciplined, studying, everything's, you're kind of like almost patting yourself at the back thinking, I'm really good at this. And then bam, something happens and you can't get out of that. And you start paying deeper attention, because you know what it is? We really are a little bit cynical as humans. Really, what Norman pointed out, we see everything is an outside problem. And let me just quickly bring you to last 2 or 3 episodes. We talked about the self-image, and it is truth. It's the thermostat. If you set the temperature in your house, obviously now you're cooling it down for, if you have an air conditioning, you set the temperature, it's going to become or create that temperature in the room. Now, if you open the doors or the windows and the heat comes in and it actually warms the air con sets off again and brings the temperature to the set one. Your inner self-image is that internal GPS that will bring you back, whether you have like, you wake up one morning and say, today I can conquer the world, you know, like I'm feeling it, I'm calling the clients and everything's happening and I feel great. And, you know, people, you're walking differently, you're talking differently, and people can feel you. And there's like, oh my God, something's up with them because I can feel their energy. But genuinely, it will still pull you back to that internal GPS, whether it's few days or a few months, but it will pull you back because that setting has to be changed internally. You can't just look at the things outside. So what are your thoughts? What are the thoughts you're having? And think of the immediate thoughts, because those are the ones very connected to programming. Obviously, then the consciousness kicks in and we start reasoning with it. So we start reasoning like, well, maybe I shouldn't, or I should. And I was saying to Norman this morning, I've made a decision that I will start going back to my 6 a.m. swim, and minimum twice a week. And you know, this morning when the alarm clock went at 5, I did get up, I went to brush my teeth, and I was brushing them thinking, I'm just going to go back to bed. I'm exhausted after the heat and the weekend and everything that was going on. I'll go tomorrow. And you know, I almost for a second had this argument in my inner. So what was the thought? The thought was, I can't be bothered, or I'm tired. But it's the things you tell yourself. And I thought, so what? If you're tired, would you not feel better after you swim anyway? It's just the excuses we make for ourselves when we make the decision. And it's okay. Don't be too harsh. Like sometimes you really need to ditch something and just say, you know what, today's not the day. I will do it tomorrow. Like listen to your body. If you don't want to make yourself sick. But there was nothing wrong with me. You know, like there wasn't any proper excuse that I should have. Are you talking yourself out of the things, or are you actually talking yourself into laziness and into creating a habit of indecisiveness? Make no mistakes. Decisiveness or making a decisions, it's the key to success, but you have to make irrevocable, committed decisions where you just, your whole energy aligns to the decision you made and you're going for it. You move one step towards it. Or you become indecisive, and that's a habit too. You can create the habits where you, oh, I'll start this when I have time. This is something Norman is talking about. When I have more money, I'm going to do this. When the kids are out of the house, then I'm going to bed. When I retire, then I can accumulate all this money. And now pay attention. What are your thoughts? I'm going to work hard, not enjoy life in the now. I'm going to just do whatever I can to accumulate everything and put it in the future. So when I get there, and what if you don't? And that's the key. Live in the now. I think that's the biggest problem. If you're thinking from what are the thoughts I'm having, but right now, not the ones I had yesterday, learn from those. I mean, we all had the bad thoughts and the good thoughts. It is what it is. Just let it go. But pay attention to patterns. What are the thoughts popping? Like, what is your reaction or response? And pretty much most of the times we react. We don't respond to things like, oh, lovely, let me see the possibility here. What is the opportunity for me in here? No, because we're as humans programmed to see negative things first. And that's where it all starts. Norman, back to you.
It's so true. We see negative things first, and was just reminded listening to you about the workshop I gave last Friday at a company, and I showed them one example, and now it's challenging to show, but I will tell it and hopefully in a way that everybody understands. Just imagine you're sitting in a train, and you as the listener, you imagine you're me, and I have somebody strange sitting next to me. The seat next to me is sitting somebody strange. I don't know. So probably an hour into the ride, it makes beep beep, which means SMS or WhatsApp arrived at the phone of my neighbor that I don't know. And the neighbor looking at the phone, and the person turns a little bit away from me, like that I cannot see the display. Now you are me. You have the stranger next to you, it makes beep beep beep, and the person turns a little bit away from you that you cannot see the display anymore. What would you think? And I can ask Vladi, what would you think?
I would think nothing. It's like their personal business. I wouldn't.
Absolutely.
I was thinking, is there a catch what you're saying? But I was really imagining myself in a train thinking, because it happened to me when I went to my parents, it's their privacy. Everybody just it doesn't matter what they
Yes.
have. You know?
Yes, you don't know the person, you have no beef with them, you have no issue with them, you have no connection to them. Of course, privacy. Check. Situation number 2, it's the same scene. Again, you are me. You're sitting, which means I am sitting in the train, and I don't have a stranger next to me, but my best buddy. Like, we went through thick and thin, we know each other's lives. There's no relationship, but we are just besties. And we more or less share everything in our life. Same situation. After 1 hour train ride, it makes beep beep, and the bestie turns a little bit away from me, that I cannot see the display anymore. Vladi, what would you think?
I would think, you know what, I would tell you that, you know, everything okay, and if there is anything you need to discuss, tell, but I would still think the same. Not years before. I would think like that now, but 10 years ago, I would think like, oh, what, like there is something wrong. Like, why they don't want to share stuff with me? That's something that I absolutely love how I've changed, focusing on self-growth. But now it wouldn't actually bother me. But I would ask whether if you were sitting next to me and we know each other and something would bother you, I would just say, I hope everything's okay. And that's
See?
it. But
And
if you didn't say anything, I wouldn't.
Perfect. But that means your reaction would be slightly different. You would be more paying attention and you would wonder and think, what's wrong? Is there something
Yeah,
wrong?
that's
Can I
true.
help? Or do you have any secrets? You would make it in a funny way, right? Same situation. In scene number 3, I'm sitting in a train, you are me, and next to me is the love of my life. We have been together or married since 30 years. We have been through thick and thin. Not a piece of paper comes between us. 1 hour into the ride, it makes beep beep, and the person next to me turns a little bit away that I cannot see the display anymore. What are your thoughts or
Well,
your reaction?
definitely all 3 reactions would be slightly different.
Yes.
I would still, in fact, I would play, I'm like, cool, I'm not interfering with anyone's life. But it would definitely cause a little, it's like, all okay? Yeah. And if you wouldn't say who texted or didn't say anything, it would be like, interesting.
Yes.
It would probably stay on my mind. Yeah.
Yes.
But I wouldn't actually make you say who it is. But it's funny, yeah. It would be 3 different, completely don't care. I'm here for you if you need anything, and interesting.
Yeah. And that's the interesting thing. Thank you for answering so honest. And I think everybody that's watching or listening said something more or less similar in a range of, I would totally freak out or whatever it is, it actually doesn't matter. The fact I want to pinpoint out is that we have 3 times exactly the same situation happening on the outside. The only thing that changes is the human being and our connection to the human being, because at the end of the day, we could even say it was 3 times a human being. Yeah, they look different age, but actually, yeah, this doesn't matter. It's only our connection in our mind, how someone should behave, a stranger, bestie, and a partner. And this causes issues if it does. And like Vladi pointed out so well, probably in scene number 3, I would not say anything or ask, but my vibration within me, to put it in those words, would change. It would be more like something I should know about, or what's happening, or like you said, interesting. Nevertheless, the person next to you, your spouse, could book a table for tonight's dinner that you should not see. So something positive. But like you said earlier, we usually go after the things that's not so nice. And therefore, we speak about today's topic. It's all in your mind. There is no true reality. Your mind makes it up. And how does the mind make it up? Based on experience, based on knowledge, based on things you have heard. In the third scene with your partner, you would only react different if you have ever heard or read or talked about somebody cheating on their partner through social media. If it has been done to you, or if you have done it before. If you would not have knowledge out of those 3 areas in your mind, you would probably react with your partner similar like to a stranger or your bestie. There would be no fear. But the fear came through, I heard about it, I experienced it, I learned it, or I did it myself. And this changes the whole game. And if you realize that the whole truth you see as truth is only based on those 3 or 4 things. I heard about it, I read about it, I experienced it, or I did it myself. There's nothing else that could change your perception about something. And isn't this great news? Which means you can bend the whole so-called truth and reality in a way that you want to have it. You could get up, and I think Vladi mentioned that before we pressed record. I could have gotten up this morning and just said, oh, happy day, instead of, oh, need to go swim now, or I want to move it to another day. Can you just get up and say, no matter what your mind starts telling you, you just say, oh, happy day, or sing another song. Freedom! You choose the song, and if you don't like songs, do something else, rope skipping or jumping around the house. But then my partner wakes up and he or she might get mad. Oh, I think you will find something. Again, it's a lack of creativity that you're bringing up. Oh, I cannot do it because I might wake somebody up. Then find a solution how to not wake somebody up. It's all in your mind. It's all in my mind. And this is how wars are started. The thing you want to have does not match with what you have in mind, like what you have in mind does not match with the reality on the outside. And this gets you mad or frustrated or happy on the other side. And this, I think, is a very interesting thing.
It is, and I love what you're saying, because the truth is, like we always had heard this many times everywhere. It's like you become what you think about, and we've said that. But what are you thinking about? We even lie ourselves. Like that's the worst thing, that we blame. Blaming is the most dangerous game you can play. I know Bob Proctor used to say it, and I really have to agree with the sentence. Use it all the time, because the minute you start saying, this is my partner's fault, this is my kid's fault, this is the government's fault, this is the war, whatever's happening in the world is actually crushing my finances. Like, we are so focused on something's wrong, and as a result, I'm not living the life that I would love to live. And this is all twisted, because you can live whatever life you would have if you choose to and respond to things and change. But people, they're not afraid of a change, but the change means that you have to change. And I was saying to Norma, I was trying to find the letter, and we will for a next episode. Sometimes we can actually find it. It was a great study when I was reading, and this lady was talking about dying. Like, we're talking about the self-image. So you have to change your self-image, your inner GPS, in order to create a different life. Why? Because you want different temperature in a room. You have to set a different number. It's basic, simple understanding. Now, if you don't, you will be pulled back to the same level of standards, same level of things. But what are your core values as well? And this is where the thinking gets interesting, because in your world, things are important and they aren't. There are really things you want to focus on, and really things that you couldn't care less about. By your partner, your friends, your boss, everyone else in your life who's quite close, they also live in their own world. Not yours, they live in their world. And they have a different set of rules, how they love things in their own world. And this is the problem of relationships, and I'm talking relationships, not just partners, but any relationships, because we get upset and take things personally. I mean, I do sometimes. So, because for me, it's like there are certain things that I would never dare to do other people. Now, what happens is I expect others don't ever dare to do the same thing to me, because for me, like lying, I'm just going to say, I have zero tolerance to lies. I'm like, hate lies. And for me, I expect that people will simply not lie to me because they know who I am. But that's not how it works. And also we have these expectations and expectations. And I want to point the difference, because that is very close to thinking. We have this saying, and we got that, I think Norman has the same, but I live in the joyous expectancy of the best. Meaning, you should always expect that the life will bring you the best. You will attract the best things. You just expect the best. In fact, I added a little bit thing, and it says, I live in a joyous expectancy of the best, and I edit, and only the best comes to me. So that expectations, but we also expect bad things. And this is where the thinking difference. Now, bad is obviously a label in your own world, but I also expected that I was making a coffee and I knew because of the heat, my husband's sleeping downstairs, and I was already walking down, tiptoeing. You know, it's like Mission Impossible. You could literally compare it to them. I was like, do, and I was like, can't breathe, can't do anything. I have to make the quietest coffee because I needed the coffee before I go swimming. And I already expected to wake him up and him going mad. Like, you have to wake me up. You know, like I literally pre-wrote the scene in my mind because that's how he behaves. But I can stop this in my mind and say, I'm so lucky because I never wake people up, and I can just slide in there or prepare. Obviously, you have to boil. I love the Turkish black coffee, so that's my problem. I could probably sneak around a different way, but that lighting the hope is just like does the ching ching, and you know, like, oh God, that's the problem. But isn't that funny where you can actually bring it to different scenario where you're seeing something never happening. Like for me, I never get speeding tickets. Never got a point. I mean, drove since I'm 18. I'm very fast driver. I shouldn't say this officially, but I am. My son thinks I should get the Formula F car, and he doesn't understand why my career isn't in F1 racing. Because if I could get, I love speed. I love acceleration. And that's what I was even thinking. I said to the girls, maybe I'm going to apply to police or people who chase people on the motorways. That would be a part-time job. I would love that. You know, like adrenaline, and I could drive fast and catch criminals. But my expectation, I set my life expectation, my whole body vibrates. I never get the tickets. Never get the tickets. It's just never going to happen to me because that is just somehow I will always spot the cameras. I will always know when to slow down. I always just do it when I feel, you know, like especially when you go across Europe, like Norman knows. Germany, I love Germany. There's unlimited speed as you come across it. And if you're driving at night, you know, it's just such a gaze. But there are things we expect that they may happen as a bad things. Oh, I always have to pick up all the clothes from the floor after my kids and husband. How many of you ladies said that? This is ridiculous. Like, all I do is do the washing, and I come home and I have to do all these things. You're already pre-writing them the way you're thinking. You're expecting it, not expecting the best from manifesting and calm, peaceful. What if? Can you actually go in your imagination and start thinking, I love, lie to yourself until it gets programmed. I love how I never have to pick up. I'm so blessed. All my family just puts their washing in a basket. It's not true, but you can still say it and start expecting it because your subconscious mind accepts everything you give it. It doesn't care whether you lie or don't. Now, as much as I don't like lying, I love lying to my subconscious mind if I'm training myself to override some paradigms. It is a little lie, but you need to really differentiate, how am I thinking? Am I blaming someone? Or can I blame myself that I partly manifested that because of the way I was thinking and I was vibrating it, and not just thinking, I got emotionally involved with it. That's the key. It's like the thought went out and I emotionally felt what will happen if that happens. And that is when you make a choice to do something amazing. With the swimming, I didn't feel like going. Go straight into how it makes you feel when you're done. Like for me, whenever I feel like, oh, I'm tired, I go to the feeling like leaving the swimming pool, being so proud of myself that I feel physically great, the energy boosted up, and I feel fantastic. And that's where you stay. So you wake up, you wanna go on a diet, you want to start eating at the healthier meal, you wanna do an exercise, you wanna maybe start studying, take some morning classes, meditations. You start it. And whenever you have this doubt and worry that, oh God, you know, I have to go straight into the feeling like I always feel amazing after I'm done. And if you can reside at the end feeling of, oh, I will do it, it will immediately shift your vibration. And actually you will not have to argue with yourself. It will move you faster in. No, no, back to you.
I love the story that you shared with the coffee and your husband. Of course, you don't like the story. And I want to go to the point where you said, I expected it. And is it that because I expected it, I created it? And this also brings us back to today's topic. It's all in your mind. Could it be that what you think and what you expect comes true? It's funny. Last week, I had the pleasure to meet Keanu Reeves. And if you remember, he made The Matrix in 1999. And in The Matrix, basically, you take the red or the blue pill, like you create the world and the reality how you want. Isn't it interesting that 16 years before, there was a secret 29-page document by Lieutenant Colonel Wayne McDonnell, and he was with the US Army Intelligence, if I remember correctly, stating the same thing, that the universe is just a big hologram. And the thing we have on Earth is kind of a smaller version of this hologram. And wherever you put your focus on and what you think you want to have, you just create it. And maybe that goes too deep for this episode. But just think about where you put your attention, where you put your focus, energy goes. And it's what you shared earlier, Vladi. You become what you think about most of the time. Do you put your attention on the things that go wrong? Or do you put your attention on the things that are mediocre, somewhere in between? Or do you put your attention on what's good? Because everything is available all the time. Let's go back to the example. There's tremendous heat. If you say it's way too warm in my bedroom, upstairs in the house, can you say, thank you that I have a basement that I can go into? Thank you that finally the summer is here, because I was complaining all year long, last year, the year before, that it's not warm enough, that it's too rainy, that this is not summer anymore. Can you find the good? Because the good and the bad and everything in between is constantly there. It's just your choice. And as Vladi said earlier, she talked to herself and she gave herself a command to go to swimming. Maybe that's the advice I want to give you today, as just try it out. And I think we spoke about it during another episode already. Just give your mind, your brain, a name. Hopefully a funny name. And if your mind comes up in the morning and says, oh, swimming, I'm not sure, it's so cold and I have to drive then, I'm so tired and it's so warm, just approach this voice with the new name. Hello, Ted. Good morning. What's up? I don't want to go swimming. It's too early and it was too hot. And the weekend was so stressful. And you listen to everything. You don't give any advice. You don't play the coach. You just listen. And when Ted is done, you say, okay, I hear you, Ted. Something else? Yeah, last week I also broke my own rule. I only went once. I wanted to go twice. And let your mind complain. If it takes 3 minutes, okay. If it takes 5 minutes, okay. If it takes 10 minutes, okay. Let Ted talk. And always ask, is there something else? And at one point, you will realize silence. Silence will move into your mind, because Ted spoke about everything that Ted wanted to speak about. And you not being your mind, and you thinking everything is just an illusion and a holograph and I can create the world that I want, you decide what you want. Say, Ted, I hear you. And you know what? I decide we go swimming anyway, because I know how we feel when we get out of the pool. And I'm sure when we're done, you had as much fun as I did. Let's go. Don't ask your mind if we go. But treat it like an external person, because you follow the command of your mind all day long, all night long, all your life. We follow the command of our mind. If your mind says, I am not quite sure now, the sun is back, earlier it was raining a little bit, I don't like that. How do you already feel? Like, oh, the sun is back. Rather than, the sun is back. Yeah, but it's so hot. Ted, you again. What do you mean? It's so hot. Yeah, but then go into the basement. I cannot work in the basement. Why not? Good question. Actually, there's no reason. Yes, we could work in the basement. It's a little bit darker. Do we have light in the house? Yes, but the light is not like outside light. Could we get a lamp that pretends we have outside light? Yes, but we have to order that. Could we find a shop where we drive to right now to get the lamp? If it's all about the lamp, I think this would be possible. Okay, let's go. You take back 100% responsibility in your life. And that's why it's funny, it's right here. Vladi and I love this book. Your wish is your command, by Kevin Trudeau. Your wish is your command. And if you don't command it in a way that suits you, you're missing out on the possibility to live the life that you want to have, because like Vladi said earlier, you create it, you demand it, you choose it, you make your choices. And if you're in a job, in a relationship, in friendships, in hobbies that you don't like, change it. If you have a body that you don't like, change it. You created it, you can change it. And that's my advice for today. Vladi, what are your last thoughts?
Just don't self-sabotage yourself, because the way you're thinking about who you are, that's who you become. People often just, with this blaming and what we're talking about, really pay attention. And I'll give you a couple of examples, which I've heard many times last 2 weeks. Is like, oh, I have such a bad memories. Now I'm getting older, my memories can't. So stop saying it. If you keep saying that my memory is getting worse, my memory is getting worse, my memory is getting worse, your mind is training your brain to send a signal to your entire 70 billion cells to say, oh my God, and it must happen by law that your memory will get weakened because you created it. What if you change this and say, day by day, every day, I get better and greater in every way. And my memory is getting better. I'm getting fitter. This is amazing. The older I get, the better I feel. Actually, that's my affirmation. Been for many years. I do feel better. Like we really focus the thinking on what you want. Don't say things that I'm not good at this. I'm silly. I'm stupid. I don't look good. I don't do. For whom? The voice Norman's talking about, just do something. Maybe use a phrase. I know there was an actor and we talk about it another time. But really use something. I literally tell to myself, not to others. I do this to myself. When I'm challenged something and I've got this internal tennis match going on, I say, watch me. I look in a mirror and I'm always saying to myself, watch me. It's been my phrase since I was actually in high school. And I always just say to myself, I used to say to other people actually, and I transferred to saying it to myself, just say, watch me. And just prove myself that if I say I can do something, I can do it for myself, not for others. And that's the key as well to how you think. And that's all until the next week.
We look forward to seeing and hearing you again with episode 80, I think. Is it 80?
Yes.
Funny, interesting. So have a wonderful week until next week, my friends. Bye-bye.
Bye.